Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got a comment on one of my videos. I'm trying to think which video it was. I think it was the video on, it was some man video. I can't remember. It was something about love. I don't know if we can find it, but if we can, we'll find it there. But this was from Villa Black, and he said, "Hey John, I've recently been watching a lot of your videos on masculinity, which I've got a whole playlist on that. If you're interested, go check that out. I'm graduating high school in a few months, and I have started to realize that if I want to make it on my own in life, I'm going to need to mature and become a man. That being said, I have trouble understanding what it means to be a man. How would you define what a man is? What changes someone from a boy to a man? Some people say being a true man is about being rich and powerful. Others say it's about taking care of your family and being self-sufficient. My current thoughts are that a man must be financially free and must have traits such as self-discipline. Am I wrong, or is this one of those questions with no right answer? I hope you see this comment and can answer my question. I'm curious to see what you think because you're one of my few role models I have. Thank you." So this is definitely a complicated question. Definitely, I'm not the first person to try to address the answer to this question. There's a couple of books that I'd recommend on this. Actually, I've got a book list. Let me give you a book list that might help you a little bit. It's called, it's my Books for Men book list. And in that book list, I believe I have The Way of Men by Jack Donovan, where he really tries to define what makes a man. And there's also another book that I did a review on called Manliness, which defines the characteristic of manliness, which might be useful as well. But I'm going to give you a less textbook answer and more of what I think is important to become the kind of man that you want to be. Because it's not just that you want to become a man, but it's that you want to become a successful man, right? I mean, you can be a man and not be successful. So what is the thing in my mind that separates the boys from men? What does that cause that transition? And I did this video, I think, on becoming a man. Hopefully we can find all these videos. If not, you can find them in the playlist. But where someone had asked me, they basically stopped me at a conference that I was speaking at and said, "Hey, I don't understand how to become a man. I don't understand what it involves." And I talked about that a little bit and I answered that question. But as far as, what is the difference between a boy and a man? What makes a man? I would say that it's not wealth, it's not necessarily the success and these things. It's not necessarily being able to take care of your family and all of this. So those attributes are good attributes. But I think primarily what it is it's the ability to almost, I would say, as not to give a fuck. And what I mean by that is to have your own path in life and your own purpose, and to follow that and trust in yourself. That's the thing is, and if you think about this, right, if you think about ancient societies and initiation rituals where boys became men and how that happened, most of the time, right, most of those initiation rites involve the boys going out, going with the men, and then going out on their own, maybe together, to go through some kind of trial or ordeal, maybe fight some wild beast or something like that, and then come back, right, after this ordeal, after this journey, after this really difficult trial, and come back into the tribe, and then, some ceremony or something to make them a man. Now, when you think about what's happened in that case, what's happened really is that those boys had to go out into the wilderness or go out on some journey or do some kind of quest or do something that caused them to become self-reliant, that caused them to have to rely on themselves and count on themselves, maybe each other, maybe some support from each other, but primarily on their own instincts, on their own beliefs, on their own abilities, right, and knowledge, and not trusting that someone else is going to save them or help them, right? And I think that that's the key thing, is that in order to become a man, if you want to become a man, you have to stop thinking that someone is going to save you. I did this video on no one's going to save you, but this is a really important concept. For me, I would say that I didn't really step into manhood. I've said this in multiple videos, until my early 30s, right? And the reason for that was because in society today, we don't have that initiation, right? And so I was probably in my life looking for people to save me, looking for excuses, looking for someone to help me out, thinking that someone else is going to take care of me and make sure that everything's all right, instead of me being completely reliant and confident in myself and my own path in life, and being willing to accept the consequences of my actions, right? So if I were to define what makes a man today, I would say it would be a person, a boy, a male person who basically chooses their own purpose and path in life, has the confidence to follow that path, okay, and is willing to accept whatever consequences come to him, right? Not trying to look for someone else to be the scapegoat or to get them off the hook, not trying to look for someone else to blame, not trying to look for someone else to save them, not trying to seek approval from someone else, right? It's caring about your own, what you believe, right? What do you believe, right? What do you stand for? What do you want out of life? Going and taking that, going and purposefully going down your path, being driven to go down your path, not worrying what other people think, not worrying about the approval of others, not worrying what your parents think, not worrying what anyone thinks except for you, and then being wholly responsible for your actions, taking 100% of the responsibility and the consequences that come from what you do. And anything less than that, I would say, is not manhood. And that's how I would define it today in society. And yes, there's other definitions. Like I said, there's some really good books. Read Jack Donovan's book on the Way of Men, and he talks about, the attributes of what he defines as being a man, which involves things like courage and honor. And I think he tends to think that honor has been hijacked as a word, which I would tend to agree with. And you can read that other book I was talking about, Manliness, although it's quite an academic book, to see what the attributes of manliness are defined as, and really, at a very root level, he defines it as aggression, which is interesting, right? Is aggression, and what aggression becomes when you focus aggression, which is assertion, like asserting yourself. So anyway, it's a complex topic, right? And I don't think there is a perfect answer to this, but what I would say is beneficial to you as a boy becoming a man is what we talked about here, right? Is basically, becoming self-reliant, relying on your own opinion, not others, not seeking validation from other people, and then ultimately being responsible for yourself, taking upon the consequences of your actions. And if you're doing those things, right, then you are going to be like a man. You're going to feel like a man. People are going to rely on you and trust you, because you're the one who's setting the path. You're the one setting the course. You're not unstable, right? Because people know that you are going to do what you think is right. You're going to execute that, whether that brings you consequences or not, and you're going to step up and do that. And like I said, if you look at the ancient societies and the tribal initiation rituals and how boys became men, I think it's very similar. I think it's very similar to what I'm telling you here, is this idea of self-reliance, this idea of realizing that you are essentially alone in the world, and you need to take care of yourself, and you need to rely on yourself exclusively, rather than, I think a lot of people in this society, in this world, a lot of quote men still think that someone is coming to save them. They still think that someone is going to bail them out of their problems and their situations, that it's not their fault, and that they don't have to become self-reliant, that they can wait for someone else to come along and help them out, instead of taking it upon themselves to, if you want something out of life, go and get it. So there you go. I hope that is useful to you. If it is, good, leave me a thumbs up, let me know. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Click the subscribe button already, and click the bell so you don't miss any videos. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.